Welcome back to another edition of Talking Ball. It's Jack, and today we are looking at Danny Wolf, one of the more unique players in this draft, and honestly, the last handful of drafts. Danny Wolf is a 7 foot, 250 pound point forward, point center from Michigan. Spent his first 2 years with Yale before transferring over to play with Michigan this past season. And his role shifted. He went from a guy who played more in the post and hit spot up threes to being that point forward, point center, whatever you want to call him, playing in a 7 foot tandem with Vlad Golden and really having this unique play style where at 7 feet tall, his best attributes are his dribbling and passing abilities. Now, Wolf, he's a tremendous dribbler at 7 foot. Like, it's not like he's got a good handle for a 7 footer. He's got a good handle, period. Now he can struggle a bit at times when he's pressured, but his ability to see over other players really helps him out. And defensively, he does a better job against smaller, quicker players than you might imagine. He's not going to be like a traditional rim protector, but as a secondary rim protector, he does a good job. And he does a good job finishing around the basket, although against size or physicality, he can struggle at times, but still, overall, 57% on his twos. And if you've enjoyed this video so far, please give us a like. It really helps with the algorithm. So his shooting, I would say, is one of the things that is interesting because when you watch him play, anecdotally, you look at the highlights, his shooting looks good, the form looks good, etc. He's a career 65% free throw shooter, and it went down this past season to just around 60%. That is one area of concern for me because I think for Danny Wolf to really maximize his potential and maximize his playing time early on in his career, he's going to have to be a more consistent shooter, and the free throw percentage is concerning. He's also a bit turnover prone. He averaged just over 3.5 assists, and he averaged just over 3 turnovers. So not great assist to turnover ratio there, and we'll pull up the stats here in just a moment. As I mentioned, defensively, he does a better job than you would think, but I just wonder at the next level, will he be able to play at the 4? Because I think at the 4, he'll be okay. If he has to play at the 5, it's not going to be the most ideal for Danny Wolf. And also, lastly, in terms of concerns, I think his best skills being his dribbling and passing abilities are great and they're amazing. But I just wonder how long it will be until he really gets to maximize those skills because early on in his career, I don't imagine he will be given the ball and allowed to run the offense like he was at Michigan. So he'll have to be better at the other areas, his shooting and defense, to really earn the trust of the coaching staff to allow him to do what he does best. Statistically, as you can see here, he averaged 13 points a game, just under 10 rebounds, just over 3.5 assists, almost 1.5 blocks, and just under a steal per game in about 30 minutes. And he shot 50% from the field, 34% from three. Pretty good there. And then, as I mentioned, 59% from the free throw line. And if I remember correctly, that's on 3.5 attempts per game. So not necessarily the most attempts, but at the same time, not insignificant as well. And it was a significant dip from his previous years. Look, in summary here, I think Wolf is a guy who I anticipate to go somewhere in the late lottery at the high end and early to mid 20s at the low end. He's certainly a first round pick. He's really talented and a unique player. How many players are 7 feet tall that have the dribbling and passing abilities that Danny Wolf has? It was Jokic light to an extent. I think I think team fit is going to be really important. Him going to a team with a center that he can play next to, I think, will really benefit Danny Wolf, and having the ability to grow his game. I honestly think Wolf might be better off going to a team that has more time, not necessarily a contender early on, so he can have more time to develop what he does best and work on his shooting early on and get some minutes, get some reps. So I would think, teams that aren't quite in that contender tier yet would make sense for Danny Wolf, and teams with centers. My comp for Wolf, I kind of see him as like a bigger, shiftier Kyle Anderson. There's maybe you could also throw out like some Filipowski, but Kyle Anderson is the guy who comes to mind for me first. Is a guy who's tall, who can handle, um, and can pass. And I think all those boxes check Wolf. I think there's some similarities there. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? How do you think Danny Wolf will fare at the next level? Until next time, please subscribe to the channel. Peace.